Yeah, it is interesting, like looking at all these different systems, like Blades in the Dark, Pathfinder, 5e, Traveler. I'm trying to think if I know there's other games that I've ran. And
Call of Cthulhu.
Call of Cthulhu, that's the big one. Delta Green, which is similar. What's behind me? Let's see. That's pretty much it. That my ears are sweating. Pretty much all that like would lead up to like it's interesting learning all these different things and how it is coming out in my one game. And it's like I told my brother, who's like, he's played a little bit of Pathfinder 1, but he's not super familiar with it and stuff. And like I was telling him how Jade Regent, I heard about that. I heard a lot about that from the Glass Cannon boys. A gnome sorcerer, nice. I thought it'd be fun to do Jade Regent, but I'm also terrible at reading adventure, like anything pre-written. I lose attention span.
I would do this instead, and so I'm going to do that. Oh, I have this 35-page idea of how the story's going to go.
Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what Troy does. Like
it's 100% what Troy does.
Yeah, he's gotten better mainly because yeah. So, but yeah, no, Jade Regent is neat. From what I heard of it. But yeah, it's, I don't know. I can't wait till I need to like add. There was 2 things that I need to add to the play, like the rule book test thing that I sent you. I heard of Council of Thieves as well. Half orc monk, nice. Oh man, yeah. No, I've heard of both of those. I never played in them, but I've heard about them, and they're pretty neat. I think Council of Thieves would probably be close to what the kind of same setting as this. I don't know if Josh, if you're familiar with Council of Thieves, but it's pretty much you are, if I understand it correctly, you're like a group of like rogues in a town, like kind of doing heists and stuff.
Okay.
But like then it builds up like normal stuff. I think that might how it starts and then builds up. I don't know the full story, but like I heard it, and it's like there's a whole mechanic of like building this like underground area and stuff. But it's like the thing where I would say it's similar is that whole campaign takes place in the one city, very similar to
that's cool
to Ravenscale Inquiry. But yeah,
it's a little bit of a Blades in the Darky type of concept.
Mm-hmm. With my game that doesn't have a name yet, though, there's like 2 things I forgot to mention. I don't know if you. I know you said you were gonna read it. I don't know if you did or didn't. Like
I haven't read it yet.
So, since we were talking about combat, I don't mind sharing this. Like, so with combat, when you fight in there, everyone has 5 hit points, and like a hit, like whatever. It's like if you take a hit, you'll lose 1. And so you only take 5 hits before you're down. And when you're down, you have 2 options. You can just stay down and be out of the scene until the end of it, or you can choose to get a second breath, second wind.
Okay.
You'll get, I can't remember, 2 or 3 hit points, but if those are depleted, you're permanently dead. So it's just like it's like literally make your choice. Like you can be unconscious and stuff, and your character can move to the next scene or whatever, but like they won't be at full health. But it's just like you can get up and you're like, I'm not like, and just make your final stand. But it's just like realize like if you go down again, you are permanently dead.
I love it.
And then the other thing is like recovery. Well, like that's where it comes from with recovery is pretty much every scene after that you get 1 hit back. The only reason the only time that changes is if you went down and came back up, you stay at whatever hit amount you have. So if you went down, come back, and then go back down 1 hit, you go into the next scene with 1 hit. Okay. But the thing is like that mechanic resets, so it's like you can go down and come back up again, but it's just like it's a lot more dangerous because it's like okay, well
but that's the same thing that happens in 2E, right? So if you go down and come back, and then like you go down again, you get the wounded condition, and
Yeah.
then
And so
it's kind of crazy.
is
And
that
if you get hit down, you get down 2 instead of 4. Like,
mm-hmm.
it's cool.
And then the other thing that happens is that is pretty much, I'm like, I don't want to come up with a list, and it's like the whole thing is very like my concept behind it is like being creative. So it's like we're telling a story together, and it's just like I don't want to come up with a list of random garbage for like people to go through and be like, oh man, I want this specific thing. It's just like, it's like, man, it'd be really cool if I had like a potion of like ice slick or something. It's like, okay, well, that would be this check, so how are you finding it? And it's like, that's the whole thing, where it's like you have your like physical attributes and then like your trained attributes. I don't remember what I named them. And it's like, you pretty much choose like a physical thing that will be like, whether it's muscle, like brain, smarts, or something like that. I am not using all the whatever I named them. You choose one of there, and then it's like, okay, and then I'm gonna choose like connect. So it's just like, okay, I'm going to choose learn and connect. So I'm going to use my like stuff I learned and talking with different people to see if I can find it. And then you take your bonuses, add that to your dice roll, and then see if you can pass the check. If you do, you get the item. Move forward. And so it's supposed to be like kind of quick, just like it's not supposed to like dwell on how many things. So I do think I'm probably gonna have to like make an inventory rule of just like how many things you can hold on a person, so that way you're like,
which is actually really smart, right? Like,
yeah,
that's that one thing where I don't like encumbered in 2E, because it's just like, just say what you can hold. Like, you only have so many spots to hold things.
Yeah.
And then if you don't have space for it, then you have to figure out what to do with your items, right? Like, because I think that just makes it way harder for somebody to play it like it's a video game inventory of like, well, I've got 365 health potions right here. It's like, you can have 2 potions.
Yep.
Unless you have like a bandolier that gives you more, and then you have 2 weapon spots, and it's like, what do you mean I can't have more than 2 weapons?
So, which I think that would also help with other things, because there could be roots, training, or occupations that could give you like, okay, you can hold 2 extra things. So it's just like, because the way it's set up now is like with character creation is like, you have your roots, which is your background. You get +1 to one of your personal stats. Cool, you get that, and then every stage you get like a circumstance bonus thing. So for example, easier to actually just open up file. By the way, if anyone listening, I'm making my own game, so it's just like, this isn't Pathfinder talk anymore. This is just me talk.
I have them both open too, for actually reading them later.
Yeah. So I'm also realizing, I'm like, you know what? I've realized how I can make fantasy classes, so I think I might give you guys a different playtest character creation thing.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
And then make it a little bit. I think it would test it a little bit easier than the original scenario I wrote. But it's like, okay, if you're a delinquent, if you're doing anything that involves intimidating people, you get a +1 to that check.
That's really cool.
If you go into training and then it's like, okay, I'm a handyman. I was training as a handyman. You get a +1 to finding resources that you need.
That's really cool.
Occupation, it's like, okay, and then you get like +2, 1 for each stat, and then it's like, all right, well, I'm a merchant. Okay, well, you're trying to find out what this rare item is. You get a +1 on that check. So it's like, it's not so much like, yeah, I get these plus bonuses to these different stats, but then it's like, you get this like +1 thing to like circumstance, like that way. It's like, because I don't know, I guess that's something that annoys me. It's like, I choose a background, and then I never do that background ever again. It's like,
Yeah.
yes, I was a noble, blah blah blah, but like with this it's like, no, it's I wanted to be like, hey, you're a contractor, so if you're gonna repair anything, like literally any type of repairing, you get a +1 on that check. Hey,
That's cool.
you where is it? Professor? You get a +1 on any related subject that you're studied in. And then it's like, choose an area. Like literally just create it. So, and like,
That's
you can
cool.
talk with the Weaver, because that's what I named to the DM GM thing.
Dreamweaver.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to where the original thing where all magic comes from dreams, and I'm like, the Weaver, Story Weaver, all that stuff. So
That's cool. I like it.
but yeah, and it's just like Gladiator as a training thing, which I realized this doesn't really make sense for the scenario I gave them, but that's also, I wrote a lot of this at work and wasn't really thinking, is like, okay, you get +1 to fighting non-human creatures. Like,
in Lancaster, PA, you should put on the thing that if anybody's in Lancaster, they can only be the Weaver if their last name is Weaver.
just a side note rule. So yeah, that's kind of what, like, my game is a lot more storytelling and a lot more, like, I know it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but it's like, there's so many times where I hear, and like when new players are just like, oh man, I want to like do a flip and then stab the dragon in the butt and make sure it like defecates itself as it dies. Okay, well, you can't do that because rule A, B, and C. And it's like, okay, well, that is a nightmare roll, which is the highest rank roll you have to pass. What are you doing to see if you can do that?
Grintax Academy.
Yeah, which, and it's a little bit of that, but it's just like, and then you get like, what is this? On my screen here, whatever. But then like you get like stuff like, once you kind of get more into the realm of storytelling, it's like people are telling a story together, so it's like, it's gonna be, I think, similar to kind of how Blades in the Dark, like the GM is only supposed to spend like, can put together a mission in 20 minutes. It's very something similar where it's just like, okay, like once the scenario books come out, there's going to be like things written for that, there's going to be like monsters and creatures, and like pretty much there's 4 levels to each monster. There's the minion, which is the weakest, and then it goes from that, champion, general, emperor, and like as they rank up, they pretty much have different stats and abilities, but that way you save on paper because it's all like one monster, 4 different things. So that way it's like, you make 10 monsters, you give them 4 different stats, you have 40 monsters.
Mm-hmm.
So
You can add whatever flavor you want to
yeah,
it.
I'm gonna literally have to cut this and put it as the the talk and update, for because I keep running out of time with everything to edit my to record another like peek into the game.
Anytime you need somebody to awkwardly sit here while you talk to them,
It's just more of like finding the time, and every time I do, I get distracted. But
that's what I mean. So you just get on a Zoom call with me, we'll record it, and then you do this.
and then you can ask questions.
And
Like,
then it works. Or
yeah.
people just don't like me and you figure out a way to just cut out this portion of it and it's just you talking.
I think it's work. I think especially after we do the play test, I think that would be good to like get like you or like one of you guys on and like kind of talk about it and